Let me try that one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, aliens, whatever you identify in this wonderful, beautiful world, welcome into the Hunter Houston ESG podcast. As always, I am your host, whatever you want to call me, because I don't give a you know what you call me. I'm just a dude who talks video games, talks a little bit of everything sometimes, and just, tries to have fun and make sure everybody's having a good time. Most of the time, anyway. So, let me say, shout out to the Resident Sterile Show on YouTube. Shout out to our boys who got a big show tonight over at the PlayStation 8 Dead with the Radical One, Radical Reggie. Of course, Sean the Man Powers. Ladies, he's still single. He's on Grinder. No, he's not on Grinder. He'd probably be the last person who'd be on Grinder. And he's not a Cowboys fan. So there you go. But no, of course, the LL Smooth One James, and then of course Willie the Schultz man. No, he has no relationships to a certain Schultz that started the Charlie Brown fame or popularity. Although he wished he had, so that way he probably wouldn't have to do a PlayStation 8 Dead podcast. Because then he would do the Snoopy Ain't Dead podcast, and it'd be everything Snoopy. But I digress. Let's get the show going. So today we're talking. I feel like I'm always talking about Star Wars. So someone who said they hate Star Wars, they despise Star Wars. I don't hate Star Wars. I don't hate the fans. I hate the people who make it. That the fact is that fans content from people say AI is horrible. AI for Star Wars is being used the way it should be used. It is great fan content. I hate AI in a lot of different ways, but I love the Star Wars AI stuff. That is amazing. That is awesome. That is cool. But let's get going on the biggest topic. At least I like to think it's one of the biggest topic for Star Wars going on. And that big topic, ladies and gentlemen, you aliens, you people of this world, is Force Awakening coming to back to theaters. It is teased to be going back to theaters thanks to StarWars.com, the official website, StarWars.com, and Star Wars News, so forth and so on, has teasing a list. As you can see, written November 24th. Well, it came out November 24th, but these are the places that may be showing it during certain times, and it's being teased. So, Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, Irvine, Los Angeles, basically California, Canada. It looks like, yes, Canada. So basically, bigger cities where people like, hey, I have nothing to do. Let me go see a trash ass movie. And the only reason why I say it's a trash ass movie because obviously Han Solo died in it. No one wanted to see Han die in it. I'll leave these dates up here a little bit longer for those that might be looking here, in case you can find it playing at that particular time. Um, look, when I originally watched the movie the first time, I felt that it should have been Finn who should have been the Jedi. And that Finn, or I mean, I'm okay with the Rey, I guess becoming a Jedi. I didn't like how the last one ended, and of course the middle one was like, just so there's that. But you know, I think that if Finn would have been the Jedi, and or at least Finn and her both becoming Jedi's, and two, like where maybe either she falls to the dark side and he has to kill her, or vice versa, something like that would have been a better story overall. I think Finn has a Jedi would have been the best story because and then he's trained by Luke. Uh, Luke makes him overcome being, like deserted or being alone when he was like a stormtrooper or stuff like that. But I'm not here to play the whole what if I wrote it, because if I wrote it, it would have been a lot better than the d bags who actually wrote it themselves, in my personal opinion. And again, I'm allowed, like every other Star Wars person in this galaxy, to their Star Wars opinion. And my Star Wars opinion is I felt that if Finn would have been the Jedi, or like I said, both of them be Jedis, and either one of them killed each other or both of them died, but like some kids, find the Jedi way, Luke never, spoiler alert, you know, disappear into the mist of the known, or what Rain Johnson, boy. That dude can make some good movies, but he can't make a good Star Wars movie to save his life. I'm pretty sure he was like told, like, okay, do what you want, and like, well, I'm gonna make an artsy Star Wars. You know, basically, but even the actor himself, Mark Hamill, said that that wasn't Luke Skywalker. And then later on, he may have changed his tune after a couple of paychecks and told him shut the hell up. But yeah. Mm. So yes, all these different sites here. So we got those all going on. Hopefully you had enough time. Everybody's watching this to see these dates for the Force Reckoning. Excuse me, the Force Awakening. Should have been a Reckoning uh, show and titles. Let's go ahead and get past that. And again, I didn't necessarily hate it at first because I thought it was going to bring bigger or better things. Um, I had hope. But then I saw the middle one. I can't remember what that's called. I don't want to remember. I want to forget that whole three episodes, pretend like they don't exist, go back to Legends or Star Wars, whatever, and just pretend they didn't exist because spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, Leia and Han had more than one child. I know, but I know what you're thinking. Were they all force sensitive? Yes. Was one more powerful than the others? Yes. Um, who was the most powerful out of Leia's children? Anakin Skywalker. Mm. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But yes, my hopes is that they will try their hardest to make Star Wars a better look. I'm just kind of everything that Disney has done has been mostly trashed. I mean, they did a few things okay with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and people's like, "Oh, Endor, you got to give Endor a chance." Man, I can't sit there and bore myself to death while I wait for a story to develop for a slow burn. That's like going out with a girl who says, it's like, well, I've been with you, I made all these false promises, and someday we might, consummate the marriage or whatever. How about no? So yeah, indoor is kind of like this slow burn kind of going on where it's like you think something's gonna happen, it doesn't happen. So I couldn't really get into indoor, and then like whatever one they did with the witches or whatever, I was glad that ended. And people who wanted the second season, look, you don't love Star Wars, you just love the messaging of the person who's doing it. It's like, yeah, more of that, more of that. No, go after yourself. Screw that. That's something that idiots would want. No, that's a big. That's not even a big no. That's a hard no. Um, I don't hate myself enough to be wanting something like that. That's just horrible. But yes, I really think if they release it in the theaters again, please don't go see it. Save yourself some money. Save yourself some time. Don't beat yourself up. You don't need to support trash. Or even mediocre stuff. Because if you do, then they'll just keep giving you the same old slop. You have to be willing to say, you know what? I don't like the slop you're giving me. I want something different. Now, speaking of Star Wars, still, I want to stay with the Star Wars before we get to Black Friday deals, and then a loony story that I wanted to talk about that probably people will tune out and stop watching the show after that episode or after I show that. But let's go ahead and get to the Star Wars games in order. And I could tell you what I think are my favorite Star Wars games in general. I think my favorite Star Wars games in general. Now, here's all the Star Wars games. You have the Star Wars 1983. That was not a bad game. I actually played that in 1983, believe it or not. My favorite Star Wars game, Turn the Jedi in the arcade, man. That's awesome. It's cool. Of course, I played the Atari one of Empire Strikes Back, which was just horrible. I don't know what I was thinking. But the Star Wars ones, especially the Return of the Jedi one, was really good. Then you had like the Super Star Wars for the NES, and then you had the X-wing, the Star Wars Assault, Dark Forces. I felt was super awesome and super good onto itself. So there's no problem with that. The one Star Wars game that always let me go to it, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. They should remake that game for the Nintendo Switch, or at least for another system, because I felt that could have been a good game. Dark Knight was not, or sorry, excuse me, Dark Forces 2 wasn't bad. Even though I've gotten a lot of hate for liking this game, I think if you were to fix this game, the Star Wars fighting game from 1997, I felt that was a good game, super awesome. I've never played Star Wars Jedi Knights Mysteries. I have no idea what that even is. Played the pod racing game, sucks in my opinion. Star Wars Yoda's Challenge, never even heard of that game. I don't know what to think of that. I would like a remake of the Phantom Menace game, though. I felt the Phantom Menace game was super good for the PlayStation, for what it was. I would like. I just like the graphics overhauled. I don't think you really need to change the gameplay that much. It's just a good game. Starfighter, it's another fight, another air game. Don't care about that. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've said this numerous times on this show that Obi-Wan Kenobi needs to be completely redone. Um you can even change up the controls, but I wouldn't mind replaying this game. The game itself was a good game. If you basically look past the bad graphics and the bad controls, it was actually a good game. Star Wars Racer's Revenge. I don't care about racing games. I own racing games, but they're only arcade racing games. And I don't like Star Wars racing enough to want to do something like that. Star Wars Jedi Knights 2 Outcast. I enjoyed that game. I thought it was awesome. I used to go to this computer store where I used to write tickets and then not give them tickets so I can hang out in their computer store with the rest of the Star Wars nerds and watch them play. I wouldn't even play the game. I just watch them play. It was this mouse and keyboard. And I was like, nah, I'm not mouse and keyboard savvy enough. The only mouse and keyboard game I really enjoyed right off the bat was Max Payne, and that was super cool. And then eventually got ported over to PlayStation 2, which I also thought was super cool. Star Wars Bounty Hunter, awesome game. Star Wars Jedi Academy, awesome games. Star Wars Galaxy, I'm not too familiar with Star Wars Galaxy. I know of it, but not too familiar with it. But the Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, I love those games. Those games are awesome. Star Wars Battlefront, I feel like that's a kind of off key, but okay. Star Wars Republic, super great game. Star Wars video game Legos, awesome, awesome, awesome. Star Wars Empire Wars, never heard of it. It's a 2000. Star Wars the original trilogy Legos, okay, heard of it, played it. Star Wars the PC's best. I'm assuming this is PC games. Star Wars Battlefront 3, okay. Lego Star Wars Complete Saga, which is all the things. Force Unleashed 1 and 2, both awesome and amazing games. Clone Wars, Clone Wars Republic, Star Wars Clone Wars Legos, Star Wars The Old Republic. I don't know how I feel about that one. I did like the Star Wars Connect because the dancing was really cool and it was easy to play. Star Wars Battlefront 2, yes, awesome, cool. Vader Immortal for PlayStation or just for PC VR and PlayStation VR, yes, I love that game. I thought that game was awesome. Star Wars Fallen Order, awesome, awesome game. Vader Immortal, again, for some reason, which I think is basically on the PlayStation at that time, yes. Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and this has come from a guy who doesn't like the whole in space, fighting, with jets and stuff. I enjoyed that game. I thought that game was good. I'm not a hater on that one. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxies. I don't know. I don't think I played that one. I think it's a VR game. Okay, here's me getting to the one. Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Um. Okay. Now here's one that I don't see yet, which is Star Wars Force Awakening from Lego. I have that game for the PlayStation 4. And let me tell you, that's all it has is the Force Awakening on it. So it's not that good of a game. That's probably why they kind of forgot it from the history. Um, Star Wars Survivors, which is a take off a Fallen Order. Yes, please, it's a good game. Star Wars Hunters, which was for the Nintendo Switch. I did not play it. I cannot have a real opinion on it. I saw a video. I think it was a free to play. Star Wars Outlaw. I was hoping for more of a good platforming game, but it didn't. I don't think it really had an identity, and it tried too much to be too many different things. It should have just been a hardcore stealth game. Her having there's so many things I said about this game that could have made it better, but it wasn't. So I digress. And then of course there's someone at my door, and hopefully someone else will take care of that and not me. So those are all the current Star Wars games. I am looking forward to basically them putting out another Star Wars game, and of course here's Hunters right here for the Switch. So I am hoping that in the future they will release something that is fun and exciting. I don't know if they will, but I hope they will. All right, so that's enough of me talking about Star Wars games. What games am I currently playing? Believe it or not, I am playing Star Wars Outlaw. I'm playing this one little platforming game. I'll have to look it up, and I'll probably tell y'all next episode. Which was like on sale for Black Friday. That's the only thing I could recommend if you're a PlayStation Network person. Uh, it's like where you play a Soviet Union guy. It's just a pure platformer of jumping, crawling, just doing platforming stuff. Really fun. No real fighting in it. Just a run, jump, climb kind of game. Really cool. I enjoy that. So let's go ahead and get out of here and move on. There we go. All right, so let's go on to our. But yes, that's why I'm playing, of course, Infinity Nikki. I have beat, and I said this last time, but I'll say it again. Ghost of Yutei, which is Ghost of Tsushima, I guess part two, because it takes 300 years later. I really enjoy Ghost. I think Ghost is a good game. They're supposed to release this coming week the Plus game, so you can go back through with all your stuff, so all your guns, your weapons, everything you have, all your outfits. I mean, like I said, I got the full platinum for it. I did everything you could do in the game. But going through the game and you're legit and you have all your stuff, so you can set forever how hard you want it or ever how easy you want it. That's going to be fun, man. And to be able to go hunt people down again, certain fights that you fought that were super hard that you had to set it for easy for, and give excuse me, not Naughty Dog, but Sucker Punch a lot of credit. They don't punish you when you change the difficulty and say no, you can't get those trophies. They always let you get your trophies. So shout out to Sucker Punch for being stand up and amazing people that still let you get your trophies, even when you have to make some for certain fights more easier on yourself. And I do appreciate that. And they're not scumbags like Naughty Dog or other people who basically say, oh, well, if you change the difficulty, you don't get this particular trophy or achievement. So good on them for that. Now, the Black Friday deals, let's go ahead and get that set up here and go to these Black Friday deals. And I can tell you there's hardly next to nothing unless you don't have anything to begin with. All right. So here are some of the deals that we're currently looking at. Okay. Shout out to cheapassgamers.com. I always recommend everybody go to cheapassgamers.com. That basically, their hard work of putting everything together. N64 AR, thank you for putting this all together, and just different people who come to the site and put things together for everybody to find. But this is their current deals on system wise of $100 off of PS5, 100 off of earbuds, senseless wireless edges, stuff like that. God of War Ragnarok, $20 off, so $50. That's not a deal. $30 off Spider-Man. Again, it's 50, was it 49.99? It's not a deal. 49.99. None of that's a deal. And I remember when Ghost of Tsushima it was only like 19.99 at one point in time, and that's when I picked it up. Helldivers. These games have been out for a while. Do people a favor and have those for $30. Now, if it says $30, I'm reading it incorrectly, then okay. But when I see 20, and then I'll actually look online, and I could be wrong. It could change via digitally. All right, Nintendo announces deals to retailers running from November 23rd to 29th. Digitals for Cyber Monday deals. Here they are: Mario Odyssey, $30. Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Paper, Thousand Doors, Splatoon, $30. Okay, those are good deals. Princess Peach, $40. Y'all guys are crazy, man. Come on, man. That needs to be 30. All those except for maybe Donkey Kong Country Returns needs to be $30. I have all those games, man. I am a fool and paid full price for those. And then here's your little amiibos. I'm like, lame. All right, and even this guy right here. Shout out to this guy, Mike the King. So the deals are the same that they were set through the whole year. Lame. Thanks for the post. And most Black Friday deals are pretty damn lame. There is nothing that is blowing my mind this year for Black Friday deals that say I have to get this, I have to get that. Even when you look on different things, let's go to this one right here and take a look at this Black Friday deal. Sickdeals.net. So let's go sickdeals.net here. And, nothing is really showing up like where it's like, oh, I have to go here. I have to do this. I have to, go and be a part of all these deals. These deals suck. And even if you look at your Best Buys, your Targets, I don't even know if they're doing a two for, you buy two, you get one free because that was, you could tell the economy is sucking if, we can't even get a good deal on certain things. It's very sad in many different ways. But I do have a friend. Shout out to beautiful Bobby. That's the nickname I gave him off of Bobby from the Midnight Express, beautiful Bobby Eaton. So I call him beautiful Bobby. Uh, it's funny because he's a dandy. Um, and I say this all the time. He's finally getting a PS5. And I said, okay, so what games are you getting? Now, note the PS5 standard. If you're looking at the standard version, this is even with the Xbox X series, which I would not recommend you get, considering like they're acting like they don't even want to be in the consoles anymore. Okay, so here's what he plans on getting, and I've already did the math for him. So basically, he's going to have 5 games that if he doesn't get any extra memory. So he wants NBA 2K16. That's 125 to 130 gigs right there. Now, even though your system comes with a terabyte, you only have maybe 600 free. Even though it says like you may have 8, it's technically 6, like 660 or something like that. So that's 125. Madden is like almost 85. Okay, NCAA college football is 40. So those are 3 games right there. All right. Now let's say if he does Call of Duty. Call of Duty is 137 or 125 or 37, something like that. I have it on my system. And then let's say for the sake of argument, he does a random game. Most games run you about 30. That's eating up his whole system. So I told him like, okay, you gotta buy an external drive. Find a cheap external drive. Like I don't know, like 8 terabyte. And the thing is, everything's more expensive. If this had been like basically 2019 before the pandemic hit, you could have got any type of terabyte system you wanted, except for an SSD drive because that was new technology. But any other, system, even with a 3.0 or a 3.2, um, you could have got that and it would have been like, I don't know, like $140 for like 8 terabytes back then. Now it's like everything's super expensive, everything's lame. And you're like, well, I'd love to buy this external hard drive, but it's so damn expensive, I can't buy it. And then if you look, let's say you go to Facebook Marketplace or you go to McCarty or wherever, and you see them like they're cheap, but then you're like, well, this is used, and anything with memory, it's like, oh, well, it works, but then like, it could be like tracking, like, okay, so if it's on for so long, it could stop working or do something bad. So you kind of like want your memory to always be new, in case someone else had corrupted some memory files or it's been used for so long where it's just like, okay, everything's starting to just, track, just starting to crash files from time to time. I actually have a hard drive right here in my hand for those who are watching that has crashed numerous times by basically I have some things I pull off of it from time to time when it doesn't crash. And this is 120 gigabytes, which is not much. And then I just started doing some of my newer stuff that I had bought from like 2 Christmases ago. I have a Starfield 5 terabyte drive, which I put a ton of crap on it. I'm not using it for Xbox or anything like that. I'm using it for like backups of a backup of a backup of a backup in case my other backups fail. Um, which everybody should do if you have like family photos, pictures, stuff like that, and then you give one to a family member, and then they have one. It's like then if something ever happens, like oh yeah, well not everything's lost because it's on that one you gave to like another family member, so you still have all your family photos, pictures, legal documents, so forth and so on that drive. I strongly recommend people do that. You don't have to, but I would strongly recommend you do that just in case, because you never know. Hurricanes, you know, people, so forth and so on. My goodness, man, how many times will people be at my door ringing my doorbell? That's crazy. Um, uh, Apparently I'm popular. Someone is, but anyway. So after looking after these Black Friday deals, I would strongly recommend guys, wait until like around Christmas time or after Christmas if you're looking for stuff for yourself or you're looking for stuff for your kid. I did find one really cool game that I had bought, and maybe I can look this up on my phone, man. Because yes, and show you guys because the game is super cool, and it was like I think $2 or less, and I did not expect this game to be this cool of a game. It was something that's like, oh, it's a platformer. I like platformers. I think platformers are cool. Yes, math fun is. It's not math fun, by the way. Where's my list here? And there was like one or two games that were like legit, like good deals. And I don't want math fun, pal. Where is this at here? Little or Orpinus? Yeah, Orpinus or whatever. Little Orpinus. Hold on, I'm gonna look that up and show it to you guys, man, because that is something I think that people would be interested in, and it's really cool. I cannot say enough. Like I said, I like the game, and let me go ahead and look that up and show you guys this game for those who are actually watching. For those who are not watching, I apologize. For those who just listen to the show, because a lot of people said, well, why don't you do stuff where, you try to interact and do X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, because mostly people listen to the show. They don't like necessarily watch it all the time. But I'm going to go ahead and look this up for those who are watching. And I strongly recommend this for either yourself or for your children to play because it's easy, it's fun, and it's relaxing. So you can just kind of like fade out, not fade out. Um, what is it? You kind of just hang out, enjoy it, and it's just a fun ride. There it is, right there. All right, perfect. Now let me go have y'all go to it. And it was a Nintendo game, I guess, originally, but it did come to the PlayStation. And let's go to it right now, guys. Right. Yeah, look at this bad boy. Now, the character looks kind of like, just your typical kind of run of the mill kind of guy. It's for Nintendo Switch, but it's also for the PlayStation. And I got it. And again, cannot say enough about this game. And you notice it's gotten like a 3-star reviews. It's $12.99. I got it for like $2. It's $12.99 on Steam. Definitely worth picking up. It is cool. Oh, and it's also on Xbox One and PS4, but the game is just super awesome and fun. It's got like a lot of, I guess you're like old school Soviet Union, so you're commies. But other than that, and you just, kind of ignore the story and just enjoy the game. The game itself is just a really fun game, man. I have, like I said, high praise for this game, and I seldomly praise some of these games, but this bad boy right here, man, I will sing its praises. It did a really good job. I can't say enough of how good of a job this game did. Directive games. Oh, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong thing here. My bad. I'm like sending people somewhere else. Let's go review. Shout out to this guy.
Hello, this is PG. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing
And
Little
I'm gonna go ahead
Orpheus
and
on
kill the
Steam.
music.
The game is also available.
And the game itself is super fun. I mean, it's a lot of climbing, drawing, doing stuff around. I mean, cannot say enough about the gameplay for this game. It is an awesome game. I recommend it very strongly. And like I said, I think it's only $2 currently on the PlayStation Plus for the sale. I think normally like they have it for 12. Great game, super awesome. If you have little ones, or if it's like I said, you just want something fun to play or a palate cleanser, that game is the game you want to go with. But as far as Star Wars goes, look, I think what fans have made, these different Star Wars AI from Sora and all these other ones have done such great jobs. If we could just have actual real fans making Star Wars content and then Disney putting it out, or at least Disney basically giving it the thumbs up and letting it exist, that's what we need. We don't need these really super high budget trash that you're just going to piss off the fan base that's already, rabid at this point because of how badly you basically treated them, and told them enjoy your slop and be glad we're giving you more slop. You know, the fans are making not slop, but they're making what everybody wants, what everybody wanted in the first place, what we all basically came for. The books, the legends, the canon. Not the well, I'm going to talk this into existence even though I'm not a Star Wars fan and this is going to be blah blah blah. No, it's not how things work. Now, I was going to talk about this one story, and let's see if I can find it before I get out of here because I think that y'all would enjoy this story so much because I've enjoyed it, even though I didn't want to make this a Star Wars thing. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Woman flies. No, UK woman. UK woman flies to Florida. Florida. Let's see if this will bring up the whole story here, because that'd be awesome if it does. If it doesn't, it'd be kind of lame. But if it brings up the whole story, that'd be super cool. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, man. Now we're in business. Let's go to the story here. Okay. NBC News reports Florida man arrested in death of British woman who may have traveled to the U.S. to be killed, police says. So let me just go ahead and give you this whole thing. So this British woman who was on different and let's see if we have a picture over here. Mildly attractive from what I originally seen, and and she paid this guy a certain amount of money. Long story short, she wanted to die, or she wanted like her fantasy was that someone abuse her and then kill her. That was her fantasy. And so she's on these different, shopping, not shopping pages, but just different forums, different sites. And I guess she finally found some dude from Florida that says, I will gladly strangle you, abuse you, and then kill you. And I think basically, from my opinion, and this is just, joking standpoints, no one take this seriously. But, it's kind of like make a wish for retards. It's like, hey, I want to die, and I want to kill. Because some places it's illegal to kill yourself, but you could be euthanized. So you can have somebody like they give you pamphlets. It's like, so you've decided to kill. Not kill yourself, but they make it sound so all noble and whatnot. And like I think you have to donate your organs in order to do that. And it's like, all those people waiting for you to die, and then who has dibs on your organs? Gross. So, long story short, I guess she'd lived life on easy mode and she wanted to, kind of end it all because, she's from Great Britain and they're always so polite. I always think of Great Britain. I think of European Vacation with Chevy Chase, which is the European or National Lampoon Vacation series, where he runs over. Uh, he runs over a British guy who's on his bicycle. It's like, no, 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 everything's fine, everything's fine. And they're so polite. Like, they have their current government basically, which is a tyrannical government, a like I'm not even joking. I mean, they are like legit straight up fascist, but if they'll call everybody else fascist, um, taking away your rights if you say something against people, putting you in jail, so forth and so on. But they're so polite. It's like, well, you know, we're not. They won't rebel. Well, I'm gonna write a letter to my statesman or whatever. Say, dear statesman, I feel that you are violating the Magna Carta, and I feel that you are doing X, Y, and Z against us. And as a British citizen and a man of the world, I feel you're just they're so polite that they can't basically say like Americans with like we will go on you like on a drop of a hat. We will turn on you and bite you at a drop of a hat. We don't care what you give us. We it is in our blood to rebel. If you're not rebelling and you stand basically for whatever the government tells you, congratulations. You've been so propagandized and so trained as a dog, you can't be anything else. You're just a trained house pet. But I digress. This lady who is 32, Sonia, whoever her name is, I don't want to, She basically traveled and dude, and look, it even says this in the story. Intentional meeting with online individuals who would be willing to kill her violently. So she traveled in regards that she wanted somebody to kill her violently. You know, again, some states like Washington, not Washington D.C., but Washington, they do have euthanasia where you can, even Canada has euthanasia where you can basically say, "Hey, I no longer want to live," and then like they don't like you, they may send you pamphlets, which I've heard that has happened before too, to a paraplegic, where they sent her pamphlets, and she griped about it, like, "Hey, man, don't send me no pamphlet. I ain't wanting to kill myself." Like, "Oh, you don't like your arrangement? I guess you should just kill yourself." But I digress. So again, I think, for certain states, if they allow this out in the open, I think someone should open up like a camp or a ranch. And it's just like, hi, my name is Douglas Sawyer. And guess what? I run a camp for people like you. You want to die? You retarded? Guess what? You pay this much amount for so many years, and we will kill you in the way you do. You want to be strangled? I love strangling people. You want to see your eyes out of your sockets? We have people for that too. You know. Now, note this is all in joke, and so don't take this out of content or someone clip this and say this guy's talking about killing people or whatever. No, I'm just saying that the fact is that this person had to make a wish, and that was their wish. That's crazy. Life is very important. I did 2 different episodes where I said, hey, if you're suicidal, contact the suicide hotline. Life is too important to end it all. Give your life to Jesus Christ, find purpose, find a reason to live, because there is always a reason to be a human being and be a decent human being. Shout out to NBC News for the story. There's other people have done the story, but NBC News in general is the one I used. There was a couple of other places. So if you feel like that lady did, that you have to go and do something like that, you can contact any suicide hotline. You can 5150 yourself, or have someone 5150 you, and solve your problem. Again, you need some form of structure in your life. You need a deeper meaning, a higher power, a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. If you feel like your purpose is only to die, it's not. Your purpose is to help people, who, help your countrymen. If there's an old lady who lives in your neighborhood, rake her leaves, do something positive. You don't have to be like, well, life sucks. I lived pretty good. I lived on easy mode. And that's the whole thing. Is just like, I always wonder, because my kid has it a lot easier than I did when I was her age. She wasn't, on welfare, cheese, welfare, for food stamps, sitting in line for all these, bad programs, being, constantly put down by other kids for being poor. And I'm poor, but I'm not like, oh, I had the funny money poor. I'm not that super poor, but I'm poor regardless. But I've never forgotten where I come from, and I'm thankful for every day that I have, and I'm thankful for every meal that I have, because there's lots of many days I've went without meals. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever you identify as this wonderful, beautiful world, thank you as always. And if you can, please like, share, subscribe to the show. Tell a friend, tell a homeless guy, subscribe your mom, for crying out loud. She'll never know. It's like, hey, I'm subscribed to the show with this crazy dude. Yes, mom. He said we should subscribe you. He didn't say you should watch. Just subscribe. Let the show grow. Let the show get better. And thank you guys so much. Appreciate you as always. Peace.